Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports right here on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my my media feed. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise last month, the middle part of last month. Here is our new logo because we are doing a rebrand. And here is my profile so that you will know it is me. And last night in the NBA, I just want to let y'all know something. Last night it was pretty much blowouts in the NBA last night. And the first game that I'm going to cover, the Atlanta Hawks and the Orlando Magic, I thought that this would be a very close, tight knit game, but obviously it ended up being a blowout. So, for the Atlanta Hawks, Onaki Okanwu, 16 points in 31 minutes. Jalen Johnson, 18 points in 34 minutes. CJ McCollum, 9 points in 34 minutes. Nickeil Alexander Walker, 32 points in 33 minutes. Dyson Daniels, 15 points in 31 minutes. Bench production, Jonathan Kaminga, 12 points in 19 minutes. Mohamed Guai, big old goose egg for him, 0 points in 11 minutes. Azza Newell, 2 points in 3 minutes. Zachary Rochester, 4 points in 13 minutes. Jock Landale, 8 points in 15 minutes. Gabe Vincent, 12 minutes, 5 points. Keaton Wallace, big old goose egg for him, 0 points in 3 minutes. Caleb Houston, 9 points in 3 minutes. Corey Crispert and Buddy Hill did not play because of coach's decision. For the Orlando Magic, Pablo Banchero, 11 points in 26 minutes. He had an inefficient night. Franz Wagner, 12 points in 20 minutes. Wendell Carter Jr., 14 points in 25 minutes. Desmond Bain, 14 points in 30 minutes. Jalen Suggs, 7 points in 26 minutes. Mortez Wagner, 2 points in 8 minutes. Jamal Cain, 17 points in 27 minutes. Tristan Da Silva, 9 points in 23 minutes. Noah Pender, 0 points. Big old goose egg for him in 6 minutes. Goga Batiste, 4 points in 15 minutes. Javon Carter, 3 points in 16 minutes. Jet Howard, 4 points in 11 minutes. Jace Richardson, 4 points in 8 minutes. For the Atlanta Hawks, as far as efficiency wise, they were very, very efficient. They shot 51% from the floor the entirety of the game, 41% from the 3-point line, 78% from the free throw line, which was slightly worse than the Orlando Magic. Offensive rebounds, they pretty much had the advantage in that category. Offensive rebounds +4 for the Atlanta Hawks. Defensive rebounds +12 for the Atlanta Hawks. The assists, pretty much the same. Steals, they had twice as many steals as the Orlando Magic. Blocks, pretty much the same. Turnovers, pretty much the same. But one thing, largest lead of this game was 31. It was 31. Now, before now I'm gonna say this before I get into like where the standings are. I just want to show y'all a couple of clips on how this game was close. Now, see, in the middle part of the second quarter, right here, the game was close with 8 minutes left. Right here, the game was close, but then where the game started to take a turn for the worse for the Orlando Magic was right around the 4 minute mark of the second quarter. Now we are at the 6 minute mark right here. Atlanta is up by 8 right now. And then make that 10 with the alley hoop. And all of a sudden, the Atlanta Hawks, they go on a run right here. Here's another shot at the basket, up by 14. They come down again. Turnover. Well, looked like it was a turnover. Come down again. They up by 16. Then, as you can see, with under 4 minutes left, Wendell Carter Jr., he goes to the basket. You look at this and you see where Atlanta, with that 3-point shot, now it's up to 17. And that's pretty much where the game went one-sided. See, as you all can see, I'm going to just show you all a few clips of the fourth quarter. But one thing that I can say about the Magic, they have trouble. They do. They have trouble, and with that loss last night, they dropped from 8 to 9. So we're looking at, and like I said, teams 7 through 10 in the East look different than they were earlier this week. Toronto was 6. Now Philadelphia is 6. Charlotte was 10th going into last night, and now Charlotte is 8th. And now you have Orlando Magic at 9 and the Miami Heat at 10. So the top 10 in the East, it's all about what play-in tournament matchup they are going to have and what playoff matchup they are going to have. But everybody, and I do mean everybody in the East, they got to be on pins and needles right now. Because they don't. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna start off and I'm gonna go down every team. The Detroit Pistons, even though that they have playoff spot, they haven't clinched the top spot yet. Boston, they still have a chance at clinching the top spot in the East. For the New York Knicks, let's see if they can finish the season with 53 to 55 wins like I predicted. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I knew Cleveland Cavaliers, they would be in that 4th spot because they are always good for that 4th spot. Atlanta, I'm surprised that Atlanta is up this far. I expected Atlanta to be 8 and 9 and on playing in the play-in tournament. But as things are starting to show, Atlanta is at the 5th spot, and if playoffs started next week, which the playoffs start the week after next, Atlanta would be facing the Cleveland Cavaliers. But here's one thing. I'm going to tell y'all something. Teams 5 through 10 in the East, they are only separated by 3.5 games. 3.5 games, and you have 9 games left in the regular season. You got 9 games left in the regular season, and I know that most of these teams. Now I'm gonna tell y'all something. Toronto Raptors, they've been on a winning streak. The Charlotte Hornets, I've already told y'all that in their past 27 games, the Charlotte Hornets have won 23 of the past 27. So they've been on a little bit of a winning streak. Orlando, they were hot at the start of the season. Now they are starting to cool down. Miami, they've been, hit and miss all season long, but still, they are one of those teams that are always one of those teams that will be in the thick of things. Now, the next game I am going to cover is the Boston Celtics. I was just talking about them, the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. So let's go on. Let's stay right in the East. Boston Celtics, second place in the East right now currently. They have 9 games left on their schedule. They are down. They are about 4 games behind Detroit. Now, what I'm wondering is Boston, are they going to start resting up for the playoffs? Or are they going to try and get home court advantage? Because we already know that the Boston Celtics, they really don't need home court advantage throughout the playoffs because they've gone on the road throughout the entirety of the season. And with this group of players ever since in this era with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they have gone on the road and won most of their playoff games on the road. At home, it's just they just on a gravy train because in the previous 40 home playoff games that the Celtics have won, they have that they have played, the Celtics have won 25 of those 40 playoff games. And that's just over the past 6 years. So now you got Boston. The top 4 teams in the East, the only one that I'm really comfortable with is Boston because they've been to a championship before. They won a championship a couple years ago. And they've been in a lot of playoff situations. The New York Knicks, hit and miss. Detroit Pistons, without Cade Cunningham, let's see what they can do. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, also another team that has been hit and miss over the last 3 years. And once we get to Atlanta, Philadelphia is like we just don't know what Philadelphia team is going to show up. Toronto Raptors, young, inexperienced, but they are about to gain playoff experience. Charlotte, young, inexperienced, but congrats to them being in this situation because I most certainly didn't think the Charlotte Hornets would be in the play-in tournament conversation. And Orlando and Miami, I knew that they would be in some type of playoff conversation, but I didn't know that I didn't know for the Magic it would be the play-in tournament. And for Miami, Heat culture, we always say Heat culture is going to put them in the playoffs no matter what, and that's exactly how it is. So, but one thing that I want to say is that for the Miami Heat, as I go back to the matchup and for all of the starters and everything, I'm not going to read these starter statistics. You all can see it right here on you all can see it right here on my rundown. But one thing that I want to say is that this could be a first round series. And what we really watched last night, we've really got to, I'm just going to say this, for me as a journalist and for my other colleagues that are on YouTube and other platforms and stuff, we really starting to look at how the Celtics, since Jason Tatum has come back, they haven't missed a beat. Since Jason Tatum has come back, the Boston Celtics are 12-1 in the 13 games since Jason Tatum has come back. Now, Jason Tatum, he really hasn't been efficient all that well since he's came back because first 5 games, he was on a minutes restriction. Last night, he played 37 minutes. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. Now, we all know that the play-in tournament 7 through 10, as currently constructed, the Raptors and Heat will face in the play-in tournament. And the winner of that series would likely face the Detroit Pistons. Now, one thing that I can say is that 8 and 9, they would be facing the Boston Celtics. Now, Boston has already beaten Charlotte. They beat them the other day. They came into Charlotte, the Celtics came into Charlotte, and they pretty much put up a statement. They kept Charlotte under 100 points, and as far as bench production for the Boston Celtics, they were able to slow down the game on their terms. Now, as we can see last night, when it comes to the Heat, their problem is you get reliable play from your starters, but when it comes to the bench production, as you all can see right here, you're not gonna go very far with just your bench scoring just 28 points. That ain't that is not going to go well in the playoffs because it's some nights where it's some nights where bench production for different teams they are gonna have to just play out of their minds. And when I say play out of their minds, I mean scoring 40 to 45 points. Coming off the bench, everybody that comes off the bench maybe have to, as a collective bunch, they maybe have to average 45 points as a bench unit for the Miami Heat to even have a chance at winning a playoff series. And not even just a playoff series, because we know that the Miami Heat aren't that strong enough to win a playoff series against a team like Detroit or Boston. Or if they are lucky to play the New York Knicks, I don't even think that the Miami Heat are able to beat the New York Knicks. I don't. But as of right now, one thing that I see with the Boston Celtics, I've been saying it throughout the entirety of the season, the Boston Celtics are the best team in the East, the de facto best team in the East. Detroit Pistons gonna be out in the second round. The Boston Celtics, I see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. New York Knicks, out in the second round. Cleveland Cavaliers, I got to see how they fare against the Atlanta Hawks, because the Atlanta Hawks coming into the, I'm going to say this, coming into the playoffs, the Atlanta Hawks, they got nothing to lose because we didn't expect them to make the playoffs. On the other hand, the Cavaliers, they have everything to lose. And that head coach, I already done put him on the chopping block. And reportedly from my sources, if the Cavaliers experience another first round exit, he may be gone. That's what my sources are saying. It's speculation. There's nothing confirmed, but reportedly, he is on the chopping block. Kenny Atkinson, the head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, he is on the chopping block. And reportedly speaking, this is more speculation, but the 76ers head coach is on the chopping block. So those are two coaches that potentially have playoff teams, but anything short of a first round series win, they will be fired. They will. Because one thing that I can say is for the Philadelphia 76ers, 10 years. You'll be done had 10 years with Joel Embiid, and you haven't been able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals yet. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, this is the fourth year that you've had this group. And the group that the Cavaliers have, everybody is still under contract for the next 3 years. So the Cavaliers, they maybe have to go in a different direction. Now, back to what I was saying with the Celtics and the Heat, we already know that both of those coaches for the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics are fine. But last night, the game, it started off close, as we all say. First quarter, it doesn't really tell you the story on how the game is going to go, but Miami, they had a little bit of a lead, But as we get to the third quarter, things started to set. Boston, they started to have separation, and even early in the fourth quarter, in the middle part of the fourth quarter, they really started having separation. As you can see right here, Miami hits a three, but that was as close as they would come in the fourth quarter. As you can see, Jason Tatum, he missed. Jaylen Brown gets it, and he gets the rebound and puts it back up. So that was 22. That was 2 of his 29 from last night's game, and we all know what the final score is. Well, what it entails. Jaylen Brown had 43. Jaylen Brown had 43. Jason Tatum, I meant to say Jason Tatum a few seconds ago. That the shot that he made, that was 2 of his 25. So one thing I can say about the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, possibly a first round series. But even if it is a first round series, Boston, they are going to win the series if it's the Celtics and the Heat, because we all know that it's really hard to sweep the Miami Heat. But the Cavaliers did it last season, so never say never. That's all I can say. Never say never. Now, the next game I am going to cover is the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. What can I say about the San Antonio Spurs? Now, I believe that, like I've been saying, I said this coming into the season, everybody, the San Antonio Spurs would make the playoffs, and I believe just the other night they clinched a playoff berth, so they are already making it to the playoffs. But let me just tell you all about this team as a collective. The Spurs as a collective group, I mean, you got Victor Wembanyama. He scored 41 points, and he had 18 rebounds and 3 assists last night. But even though that Victor Wembanyama, he is the best player on the team, he doesn't act like it. Because you got Julian Champagne, who had 15 points last night. Then you have De'Aaron Fox, who is a clutch player that is on the Spurs. You also have Devin Vassell, who had 8 points last night. Stephon Castle, he had 15 points last night. And then you have bench production. Basically, I'm going to tell y'all something about the Spurs bench. Everybody that is on the Spurs bench has scored at least 10 points 3 times this season. And that is everybody on the bench. Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Carter Bryant, Mason Plumlee, Dylan Harper, Kelly Olynyk, Lindy Waters, Harrison Ingram, Bismack Biyombo, and Jordan McLaughlin. Everybody on the Spurs bench has scored at least 10 points in 3 different games this year. And this is why I'm saying that for the Spurs, Western Conference Finals matchup, potential Western Conference Finals matchup, OKC and San Antonio, I could see that happening in the Western Conference Finals. I can. Now, for the Golden State Warriors, we don't know when Steph Curry is coming back. If Steph Curry was coming back, just get him prepared for the play-in tournament game. And then, the Warriors, they really aren't a strong team, not one of those top-notch teams that you can say that even if Steph Curry does come back, are the Warriors still going to win? Now, this game last night between the Spurs and Warriors, it was a blowout for most of it. And the score doesn't really indicate how one-sided this game was. But you can see the illegitimacy of all of these players that the Warriors have. And credit to the bench production. I mean, Omar Yurtseven had 17 points in 29 minutes. Seth Curry, Steph Curry's brother, had 12 points in 10 minutes. Pat Spencer had 14 points in 38 minutes. But the Warriors, they got the build for the future. And what I mean by build for the future is in terms of what I'm going to say is about time the 2030s get here, Steph Curry, he is going to retire. So the Warriors now, they need to start going into the draft or going into free agency, and they need to get another, what I'm going to say is they need to get another cornerstone franchise player, not exactly like Steph Curry, but who plays like Steph Curry. And I'm not just saying because credit, you have the basketball phenom coming from BYU, AJ DeBonza. I don't know if he is going to fall in the Warriors' lap, but if I was the Warriors, I would possibly trade up to get him. Now, everybody is saying that AJ DeBonza, he is going to the worst team in the NBA, which is the Sacramento Kings. Now, I don't see that happening, but if there was ever if there was ever a team that could just roll the dice on a player like AJ DeBonza, it would be the Golden State Warriors. It would be. But now, one thing that I can say about the Warriors is the days of the Warriors being having a guaranteed spot in the playoffs are long gone. They are just fighting and fighting and fighting their way to get into the playoffs. Play-in tournament really don't mean nothing because you all see this. Play-in tournament, it's just basically you're playing one game, and if you lose that game, you're out. That's what it is. You lose that game and you are out. Now, with the Spurs, I'm going to get back to the Spurs. Before I finish this segment, the Spurs are well ahead of schedule. Because I said a couple years ago, I said this once the Spurs drafted Victor Wembanyama. I said first year, he going to have growing pains. And the first year, the Spurs did have growing pains. Last year, he had a scare. Victor Wembanyama had a scare with blood clots. But, hey, look, over the last year, all of the blood clots have been under control, and he is back to playing 100%. Third year, we are in year 3 right now of the Spurs of the Victor Wembanyama era. And now they are starting to become a playoff contender. Going into next season, another year where they are going to be in playoff contention. By the time they get to year 5, they should be a championship contender. They should be making it to, if they don't make it to the Western Conference Finals this season, they should be making it in 2 to 3 years tops. But the Spurs have become one of those powerhouse teams in the West. The Spurs are back. After a 4-year absence, the Spurs are back to being a powerhouse team. So when y'all look at the standings right now, y'all see Oklahoma and San Antonio, get used to seeing that in the coming years. Because the Spurs, they are not going to drop. Oklahoma City, they are not going to drop. The teams 3 through 10 in the West, you're going to have them fluctuate throughout the future. But OKC and San Antonio, man, them 2 teams, they are here to stay in the top 2 in the top 2 spots of the Western Conference. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's Wednesday night NBA action. Please for everybody, please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. Here is my profile. Here is my media feed for all of my different segments and sound bites from previous shows. And here is my merchandise. We rolled out new merchandise last month. We also have a brand new logo. I'm going to let everybody see the logo for about a good 5 to 10 seconds. This is the rebrand. And one last thing, America. Remember, the key is always on time.